Welcome to the kitchen of Ebony Ivy and Thyme. I'm Leona Dooley, your host, and today in the kitchen, we're going to prepare some savory, healthy autumn comfort foods, and I know you're going to love them. Hello, my friends. Today in the kitchen is going to be all about the flavors of fall. We're going to add those special fall seasonings. We're going to be cooking some of those favorite fall dishes that all of us like. And we're going to be bringing a lot of vegetables in because now is a time for the harvest. So we're going to get it done right here in the kitchen. Now, I'm Leona Dooley, as is Ebony Ivy and Thyme. If you like cooking and you like staying on top of your home cooking task, then this is a place to be. And I know you're going to love it and you're going to enjoy being right here with me. Now, today we're going to take a moment. We're going to talk a little bit about some of the things that we're going to be doing as we go along. We're going to be prepping and all of those great things. So get comfy and let's get into our kitchen. Now first, I'm sharing with you the items that I have picked up from my capsule. And I'm going to start, we're going to go from left to right. I needed some vegetable broth because I'm trying to eliminate, or we'll say decrease, the amount of salt in our diet. So I got an organic, almost salt-free vegetable broth. Now, of course, you know I love to make my own, but if I run out, I've got extra. I also picked up this, a bottle of Nutritional yeast that I plan to use, and we're going to use some of this in our soup as well. It kind of has a very savory, cheesy flavor, and I think it's just going to set that soup off. So we've got that. I also I love having the original salt-free Mrs. Dash, and just on hand for those days when I don't want to have to put my homemade batch together of flavorings, then I have Mrs. Dash on the shelf ready to go. I also picked up some corn for the freezer. I've got 2 bags, and I'll be using those quite a bit because we're increasing the number of vegetables that we're eating. I also picked up a cute little pumpkin pie pumpkin, and as well as some apples, some oranges, some tomatoes, yum yum, and some cucumbers, and of course those I hand-picked. But then I also picked up 2 bags of broccoli florets, and what I do with these is that I actually put them into the freezer, and then that way I can just pull the broccoli out when I want it, steam it, and it's ready to go. But I keep a couple of bags of these in the freezer all the time. I also picked up a couple of bags of the little matchstick carrot pieces, and these are from Boathouse Farms. So they are there. I have those. I wanted to put together a nice green split pea soup. I have just been thinking about a split pea soup, and I think we're going to do that this week. So I purchased a bag of split peas, and they're ready to go. I love, love, love Brussels sprouts. So you know what I'm going to do to these also. These are going to be going into the freezer, and I was hoping to get a larger bag, but unfortunately they didn't have the whole Brussels sprout. So I'm going to have to do with these until I can get some more. I picked up a couple of tri-colored coleslaw bags. And you know, these are good to have available as well because they work fantastic in a soup. You toss that bag in, throw in the other vegetables, and add in your broth and your seasoning, and you have a delicious soup ready to go in either your Dutch oven, or in this case, it's going to be in the Farberware pressure cooker. What better way to serve your family than to have a delicious dinner prepared and ready for them when they come home, either from work or from school, or whatever activities that may be going on. So today we're starting off with some vegetable soup. I also did a little grocery haul, and I'll take you through that because these are some of my 20 item capsule items that I knew I needed and I was low on. You know, most of my 20 item capsule items I had, and that's because I make sure that those items are always in the house. But I looked into the refrigerator and the freezer only to find that the vegetable bin was empty. And so, you know what that meant. I had to go and get vegetables. So I'm going to show you some of the things that I purchased, and then we're going to be ready to put that soup together. And today we're going to do it in the Instapot, and it'll be quick and easy, and dinner will be on the table. All right, so I had a chance to unpack the rest of the groceries, and let me take you in. We have baby spinach. I also picked up a spring mix as well as some bananas. I picked up 2 boxes of baby Bella mushrooms. In addition to that, some sugar snap peas that we really just like to walk around and eat as a snack. And I also picked up snow peas. Now the snow peas, and as you can see, I have 3 packs of organic tofu, which I love tofu in a stir fry. So we're going to be stir frying sometime this week. I'll put the big guy to work, and he will do the stir frying. He likes to do that. I also picked up a pineapple, and it looks pretty good. So this is the end of our grocery shop for this week, and hopefully I'm going to be able to have a few things left over for next week. We're going to put together a delicious fall soup, and I'm going to use the Instapot for this. So I'm going to get the top off, and I haven't plugged it in. I'm actually going to take the main base out, and that way we can work a little more carefully, get things in there, and then you'll see what I'm going to do with this soup. Okay, we're taking a lot of shortcuts today because we want this soup together pretty quickly. The first thing I'm going to do is that I have pulled out some of my frozen celery, and I'm going to use about half of this container of frozen celery. What I did was I took 2 batches of celery, chopped it up, put it into this container, and froze it. So this is going to be going back into the freezer for another dish another day. I did the same with my onions, but I think they got used, so I'm going to have to actually chop onions to put into this soup. But in the meantime, we're also going to add, remember we purchased this bag of tricolor coleslaw. It has green cabbage, it has carrots and red cabbage, and all of that is going to go into this soup. It's going to be hearty and delicious, so this entire bag is going in with that celery. I'm also going to add a bag of broccoli slaw, and that is broccoli, carrots, and a little bit of red cabbage. And I think I'll probably add maybe half a bag, and the other half I'll use for an actual salad. So I'm going to take about half of this bag because I want that in there as well. Now it's going to give our soup a little body because this is pretty much an all vegetable soup. I do have rice that I have prepped in advance, and I'm going to be putting in the bottom of the bowl. So I'm going to leave that out so it can thaw, and I'm going to get this celery back in the freezer. Okay, now we're going to add 1 can of tomato sauce. See if I can get this open without hurting my hand. Use my knife to get it started. I'm going to pour that in. It'll be a tomato-based soup. And I'll put some water in there in just a moment. I'm going to add that's one 14.5 ounce can of fire roasted tomatoes that I'm adding in. They're diced. Let me get a little water in this. Won't hurt. Okay, add that in because we're probably going to have to add some water as well. Now, here's my secret sauce. I'm going to add in a full jar of Classico and okay, love Classico. 1 full jar. Now, what I'm going to do is that I'm going to need some vegetable broth. So I'm going to pour my vegetable broth into the Classico jar, put the top on it, and give it a good shake. So it'll be nice and rinsed out. And the rest of that I can put in there because that needs to go in. That's vegetable broth. Actually, it is vegetable broth, not stock. Stock is a little more concentrated. Okay, so I'm shaking up, cleaning up that Classico jar, getting all the goodness out of there. And voila, we have taken care of that. I still need to chop this onion, so we're going to get that done and add 1 onion to the mix. Vegetables are so important to our bodies. And you know, if they're important to our bodies, then certainly we want to make sure that our family stays healthy and that they're eating a large portion of vegetables every day. Now, what we're doing is that we're putting all of these vegetables into our Instapot, and it's going to cook our soup. It's going to make it delicious, and it's going to do it quickly. So this soup is not going to have to simmer for hours on the stove. It's going to be finished in a flash. And this is one of those soups that when it comes out of the Instapot, it tastes like the soup that's been made the next day. So you'll have to try it. Here's my vegetable scraper, or bench scraper, whichever you like to name it. There's our onion, 1 onion in. And you know, at this point we could add a bag of mixed vegetables. We can add all kinds of things into this mix. Okay, let's add a little seasoning. Now first I'm going to start with our Mrs. Dash salt-free. And I'm going to add in 1 teaspoon, maybe and a half. 1 teaspoon and a half of Mrs. Dash's salt-free seasoning. Then I'm going to add in a good scoop of nutritional yeast because that's just going to give us some good flavor. There's 1, I think I'll do 2 scoops, and I'll have those measurements in the video. Nutritional yeast gives it a rather savory, almost cheesy flavor when you're using it. I'm also going to add, you know, I have to get in the pepperoncino because we need a little fire in the gut, just a little. So I'm going to put a pinch of red pepper flakes into our mix. Put the top back on that. And now I'm going to add more vegetable broth. Because after all, this is a soup. and I'll bring you over close so you can see what we're doing. All right, I'm placing in a 32-ounce box of chicken broth. Now, if you happen to have your homemade, not chicken broth, I'm sorry, vegetable broth, if you happen to have some in your freezer, then use it. I am out, so that's the reason why I'm using the box broth, salt-free, and we're going to get this ready and set up. Let's give everything a good stir. Now, because I'm going to serve this with rice, I'm not going to put any beans in it. Under normal circumstances, I'd probably add some beans, but I'm not. And you notice I'm keeping it salt-free. I'll just let the big guy add a little bit of salt later. I think I will add, however, a little bit of aminos because that's going to give it kind of a little soy sauce flavor. Now, I'm adding in some Bragg's Liquid Aminos. Once this cooks down, it's going to be really good. I think we'll probably need just a little bit of black pepper, but it looks amazing. Okay, we're going to put in some black pepper, and that should be enough. Got the Bragg's. Give everything a stir again, and I'm going to give it a taste just so I can see where the flavors are at this point. Now, once it cooks, you know it's going to concentrate. Now, let me give our soup a taste just for you. This is before it cooks. That's going to be good. So I know that once it gets hot, all these flavors meld together through the pressure cooking. Whew, it's going to be a good soup tonight. We're going to set our farberware on 2, which is for soup and stew, and touch start. This soup smells amazing. And you know, this is one of those soups that you want to prepare just before the family enters the house. Because when they come into the house, everyone is going to say, "Oh, what is that smell?" And you're going to say, "It's dinner tonight, and we're going to have it ready in just a few moments." Now, I'm going to give this a nice stir so that you can see it, see how hearty it is. Now, you know, if you wanted yours just a little smoother, you could certainly use your immersion blender and blend a portion of it, but I like mine hearty. And then I'm going to place it into those good old Chinese takeout containers. I'm going to place the rice down in the bottom, put the soup on the top, so that they're ready for the big guy and I whenever we're ready to eat dinner. An immersion blender is so nice to have. And you know, it is so helpful, especially to the home cook when you're trying to prepare easy and delicious meals. And if you have anything that you want to alter the texture of, then your immersion blender is certainly the one that you want to use. Now, we're going to use the immersion blender in the next recipe. And so I want you to fasten your seatbelts because this Hamilton Beach immersion blender is going to bring the next dinner together and it's going to be absolutely delicious. Our next fall comfort food that we're going to serve in a bowl is a green split pea soup. And we're starting off with a mirepoix of carrots and celery and onions. And you'll notice that I had actually prepared these in advance because I knew that's what we were doing. And they're frozen, but that won't matter because we're going to put all of it in this pot. And this dinner is going to be ready in about 30 minutes. We have added celery, onions, carrots, and water, about a quart, down into this pot. And what we're going to do is that we're also going to add in some mushrooms. Now, if you are not a fan of mushrooms, let me tell you why we're using them. First of all, this particular green split pea, and actually it is a soup, but then it's not. It's more like a stew. So it's going to need a heartier base. So what we're going to do, once everything has cooked well, then we're going to use that Hamilton Beach immersion blender, and we're going to blend our soup. And we're going to come out with a nice creamy green split pea stew. And so the mushrooms are just going to add value, add a heartiness, and also add some nutrition into our soup. We're going to be using these particular spice ingredients. We're going to add the Savory Nutritional Yeast flakes. We're going to add Trader Joe's mushroom and company multi-purpose unami seasoning, which is absolutely delicious. Of course, we're going to need some Mrs. Dash, salt-free, as well as some parsley. We're going to add black pepper, a pinch of red pepper flakes just to give it a little kick. And of course, you saw that we added the peeled garlic. Now we're going to let all of this cook and simmer for 1 hour. And the reason for that is because we want those flavors to go through, and we want everything to be absolutely soft and creamy. And then we're going to take out the blender and we're going to blend as much as we desire. This butternut squash risotto is going to be absolutely delicious, and we're going to do it right here in my Farberware Instapot. So let's prepare a delicious butternut squash soup. And first we're going to start with roasting that butternut squash. And I'm going to show you how to do it and do it without adding any oils to your squash. We're going to keep it healthy, but we're also going to make it absolutely delicious. So let's get started. Risotto is always a very comforting dish to make, and this butternut squash risotto is absolutely delightful. Your family's going to love it, as will you. Now, the great thing about it is that you're going to want to start with roasted butternut squash. Put it into the oven. Take the time to do that. It doesn't take long. And once it's nice and soft, take it out of its sleeve or its covering and use it in your dish for today. Roasted butternut squash is absolutely delicious, whether you use it in a risotto or not. But today, that's exactly what we're going to do. We're going to place this risotto into our Instapot, add our rice, get all of the seasonings in, and end up with a savory dish that you'll want to serve your family today and for a holiday. I'm washing the rice, just rinsing it off, and I do that for a few minutes just to make sure that if there's any dust or dirt or whatever may be on the grains of brown rice, and yes, I am using brown rice, that we will be able to get that off. And I'm using about a cup and a half of brown rice, and you can choose the type that you want, but I'm using a short grain brown rice. And so we're going to take that and place it into our Instapot. Then we're going to add one diced onion. You can use onion or shallots, either one, but we like the oniony flavor. So we're going to place a diced onion within this pot. In addition to that, we're going to add 3 cups of vegetable broth. I have the butternut squash already prepared. I roasted actually 2 butternut squashes, and I'm going to place all of this into our pot. Roasting adds a beautiful depth of flavor that you won't want to miss. We have been using quite a few seasonings, and you'll notice that in many of the dishes that they are somewhat the same. I'm going to start off with the savory nutritional yeast because in this butternut squash dish, we're going to eliminate the dairy, and we're going to do that by adding 3 tablespoons of nutritional yeast into our risotto. The reason for that is because the nutritional yeast is going to add a certain amount of cheesiness to this risotto, which we're going to like. We're going to add Mrs. Dash because it adds a variety of herbs and spices that will just elevate this risotto. We're also going to place in black pepper and lots of garlic because remember, we're preparing a healthy dish. Now you'll notice I have not added any oils, I haven't added any salt, but you're going to find that we won't need it. And the flavors are going to come out just the way you want them. I'm going to set our Instapot on the rice risotto setting, which means that it's going to have about 14 to 18 minutes. And it should be able to cook to the level that we want. Once it's naturally released and ready to go, the pressure has been released, then we'll be ready to take it out, give it a good stir. I'm going to add some coconut milk, one entire can of coconut milk. But notice, don't add all of the coconut milk at one time. Add in about half the can, give it a really good stir, give everything a chance to come together. And then if you look at it and it's not quite as creamy as you want, add the rest of the can. The coconut milk in the butternut squash adds a level of creaminess. And I'm stirring it just a little while because I want everything to be nice and well developed. The flavor is delicious. I'm going to add in a little touch of Bragg's amino acids into it just to give it just a little something extra, a little umami in there. And then we're going to be ready to get our bowls together. And this risotto is going to be a hit on your dinner table. I am so glad that you came into the kitchen of Ebony Ivy Thyme today. It has certainly been a blessing, and you know what? I have enjoyed your presence. So, anytime you want to spend time with me in the kitchen, come on by because I am always ready for an additional person at the table. So, blessings to you and yours, and I'll see you soon right here in the kitchen of Ebony, Ivy, and Thyme.